One question is, what about the other Igbos that don't like the Israelite movement and say, it's not true and that whole thing? That's one question. And the second question is, in terms of the oral tradition that you guys have in Africa, in Nigeria, about African Americans. You touched on it earlier with the verse, but if there's a chance you could go more in detail about the Igbos' understanding of the people who were sold in what we call now the transatlantic slave trade.
Excellent question.
Okay. Okay. First of all, the Igbos who doesn't want to say they don't want to believe in Israelite, is you are not going to blame them. It took a lot for the people to move away, and some of them don't really trust the Europeans, so they think it's an European stuff again. So they prefer to be the way they are. So they are very circumspect dealing with Europeans. Then about the transatlantic slave, like I was saying earlier, Akadosh Baruch Hu told Abraham, your children will be slaves for 400 years. Okay, now, if you ask the Rabbonim, they'll tell you the children of Israel stayed only 210 years in Egypt. So where is the 400 years? Now, let me let you know something. If you read the Haggadah of Pesach, it says, Pharaoh and his people treated us as if we were slaves. He didn't say we were slaves. They are two different things. He treated us as if we were slaves. He didn't say we were slaves. That is a misinterpretation there. They cannot be slaves because they can only be slaves only when they were born slaves, or they were sold as slaves, or they were conquered in war. That is what the three criteria in the Torah that somebody can be slave. It's in the Talmud as well. I think Maseket Kedoshim. So none of these three criteria did they meet. So how then do we say they were slaves? So now people might be thinking that the 400 years must fulfill in Egypt. No. Now, if you check in the book of Devarim, he told them, I will take you again to Egypt in ships. Have you seen that place before, Zion?
Come on.
So if he will take you again to Egypt in ships, which ship will move between Canaan and Mizraim to go to slavery? Which ocean, which river? So if you tell me the Devarim, Moshe said he would take you, and when Moshe was saying this, you know that they were already coming out of Egypt. So Moshe was not talking about when he would take you back to Egypt. And Jeremiah, who said, it is in the land that your fathers know not, you'll be a stranger. And he told Avinu Abraham, 400 years. So how can they stay 210 years? You say they've got. If you ask the Rabbonim, they will say that the 400 years they started counting from when they gave birth to Iskak, which I told them no, it's not true. Who is a slave? A slave does not have a family of his own. He does not have property. He does not own wealth. But if Abraham was a slave when he gave birth to Iskak, how can he own those properties he owned? How can he be a master who fights war, who saves people, who saves his cousin or his nephew Lot? How can a slave do that one? So when you say that slavery started for Abraham when they gave birth to Iskak, it is not true. Iskak lived in the Eretz Kodesh. If he lived in Eretz Kodesh, how can he say he was a slave when he live in the land he knows the land very well? He knows Shechem. He knows what is it called? Yerushalayim.
So Rabbi Kish, really quick. I want to be clear on the argument. So the traditions in Africa, the tradition is Igbo land, is that they challenge Chazal in Chazal's understanding of the slavery in Egypt, right? And you're saying that how could you say that the slavery started by the birth by Yitzhak and it being 400 years from there, when there was no real slavery there in terms of the way that you define slavery based off of the Talmud, which is,
Yes.
ways of people conquering, different dynamics like this. None of this existed. So the traditions in Igbo, you're saying, is that actually the people that were being talked about in Genesis, was it 15:15? Is that what it is? Is it 15:15? But
I
15:13.
mean, what they said yeah, no, Jeremiah 15, 13, and 14. He said that you'll be in they take you a land where you'll be strange. He said it in Lexx, then he said it again in the book of Jeremiah.
So he says it there.
15.
And so what you're saying is saying that the traditions in Africa are saying that no, the people that are being talked about were your ancestors who were sent to North America through the transatlantic slave trade, and the 400 years of slavery that was talked about was a slavery that existed in North America, because the Midrashim and everyone else talks about you being sent to a land that that you didn't know about, your ancestors didn't know about, and so that couldn't have been Egypt. It couldn't have been these other places because they're very aware of that. It couldn't have been anywhere. So that's the tradition of the Igbos, and I don't want people to hear this and say, "Hey, Rabbi Mordecai is saying by this, whatever." This is the tradition of my ancestors, right?
Come on.
Yes,
This is the
yes.
this is the
Now
tradition of my.
you see,
Go ahead.
yeah,
you
yeah.
saying?
You see that's why I'm trying to make the groundwork for it. So if Hashem told them that they will be enslaved in the land that they don't know. So when Hakadosh Baruch Hu was saying this, all the lands of the world were already known. Europe was known, Africa was known, Asia was known. The only place nobody knew was Americas.
Come on.
So when he said, the land you know not, as he was saying that, all the lands were already known. It is only America that was called the New World.
Come
so where
on.
Hashem has in mind is the New World.
It
Where
says a
nobody has
land
ever
that you have not known.
Yes.
Come
You
on,
don't know it.
teach.
So that is the place. And when and in the book of Deuteronomy, he said that when I take you there, I will take you in ships, that the floor of the ship, the floor will be iron, and your topmost will be copper. Is referring to the decks of the ship where they were packed. And he said, by the way you will go, you will not come back again, and nobody will redeem you. That is why everybody in America has done everything to redeem Americans. It is not possible. It's only Messiah will do it. And there's a reason why that is so. Nobody can take credit of bringing his children back to him. When he brought them back from Mizraim, nobody took credit. Even Moshe did not take credit of it. That is why Moshe did not finish the work. If Moshe had finished the work from Mizraim to Canaan, he would take credit. Hashem truncated Moshe and said, "You shall continue." People don't even understand that. Nobody can take credit of salvation of the Israelites from Egypt. Moshe can't take credit because he brought them in the wilderness. Hashem said, "Stop." He found reasons to make Moshe stop. He said, "You shall continue." Joshua cannot claim it because he didn't start it. Moshe cannot claim it because he didn't finish it. It's only Hakadosh Baruch Hu can claim the glory of salvation of the children of Israel from Egypt. Likewise, the Americas. He said, "The type of salvation I gave you in Egypt, that's what I will give you again." He will save the people from North America. Nobody will claim the glory. Martin Luther have tried. Everybody have tried. But now, what is the salvation? The salvation is what me and you are doing here. Zion Lexx is doing his own. You are doing, I am doing. And they see the way we are linking now.
Come on.
The Geulah will come. Because we are awakening. The way consciously we went out from Hashem's line, the same way consciously we are making our way back. Nobody is driving us. We are driving ourselves. Nobody can claim the glory.
So on this point, this is a very, vulnerable moment, right? Because right now I'm hearing the traditions from the people that my ancestors were captured from and separated from and brought to North America. North America has done everything to destroy, who I am, my history, my heritage, and somehow through God's miraculous grace, we've been able to survive. And so now I'm hearing this tradition. So my fellow Jewish brothers and sisters are seeing this podcast. We're interested in all the things that we're doing. We have to accept that there's different Masurot, there's different outlooks, there's different connections to God and the Torah that may differ to people based off of where they're at, their climate, their geographics, their social conditions. And so we have to expand ourselves, right? Because I came into Judaism. I didn't know about my heritage. I just came in because the Torah was sweet to my heart. It grabbed my soul, and the mitzvot and everything grabbed my soul. I didn't know why. Now I know why. This is my heritage.
What the people
So
have to understand is that the way of the return of the Jews is not the way of the return of the Hebrews.
mm,
People, the children of the Israel, the 10 tribes, they have to return through Ephraim, the house of Yosef.